ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الحمد لله الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Welcome everybody from around the world. My name is Bilal Abdul Kareem and this is the BAK Show. We're going to be discussing things which are important to you and to the Muslim Ummah at large. Of course, I am your host, Bilal Abdul Kareem. Now, we're going to be discussing the ongoing situation which has been taking place here in Syria, particularly in the southern areas south of Damascus. Let's get started here. We've got a lot of stuff, a lot of ground that we're going to need to cover. So let's just get started here. Okay, brothers and sisters. Firstly, we're letting everybody know that we are coming at you from Syria, and we're going to be talking about the situation on the ground. All right. As everybody may have been hearing by now, that there have been intense clashes between government troops and Druze militia forces in the Suwayda area. That's the Suwayda governorate in Syria. Now, let's just take a look at the Syrian map, just so that you have an idea in terms of what's going on here. First of all, this is Syria. Okay, these territories in green are under the control of Ahmed Shara, formerly known as Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, and his government. The areas in yellow are areas which are controlled by the Kurdish militia forces. So these are those areas right here. Now, we got to take a look at what's going on here in the south. This is huge. These are the Israeli-occupied territories. These areas over here are known as Quneitra. Quneitra is another governorate in the southern part of the country. Now, that area is occupied by who? By the Israelis. So they have claimed that territory and taken over it and are administering that territory. So this is important. Keep that in mind. This is Suwayda governorate right here. Now, this area right here is also important because this is where there's a high concentration of the Druze community. Now, you got to understand something. All the Druze community are not one and the same, and they're all together in supporting Israel, because they're not. But there are enough of the militia forces there that are in support of Israel, and Israel is supporting them. And we're going to be focusing on that just a little bit here. So that's right here in this governorate area right here. But you got to take a look at something here. This is the green part right there. Now, there are no government troops in the southern areas on the borders with Israel. That's Israel right here. Why? Back in March, Benjamin Netanyahu made it crystal clear he did not want any troops, any government troops from Damascus on the borders of Israel. He wanted to be a no militarized zone. But he's used every opportunity for his forces to come into the Dara area, to raid homes, to kidnap people, take them back across back into Israeli territory. And so this has been an ongoing thing, sometimes once, sometimes twice a day. This is not a situation wherein there have just been some type of skirmishes or something like that. This is a planned situation. We're going to talk more about it. Okay, so here we go. This is where a lot of the clashes have been taking place. Now, just a few days ago, there was a Druze businessman who was traveling and was assaulted by unknown people, and while driving his car. Now, you've got to understand something. Up until now, the perpetrators who carried out this attack on him are still unknown, but it was assumed that it was by Sunni tribes, because there's been bad blood for a long time, not just from a few days ago, between Sunni tribes and the Druze community. Now, when that happened, this is what took place. The Druze militia forces began to attack Sunni territories. They arrested some of them, they executed some of them, and put their bodies on display on the internet, and that provoked a response from the government of Ahmed Shara. Now, when his forces came, this is the direction that they came in from. So that's green. That's the territory that's controlled by the Syrian government, and this area over here is Suedat. So that was a few days ago. Then they pushed into or towards the city of Suedat so that they can occupy that area and restore calm. Now, as they were doing that, the Israelis attacked and they started to bomb tanks and different armored personnel carriers in the convoy that traveled to the Suedat area. Now, that's a huge deal because a local problem all of a sudden now became an international one. But therefore, the forces of Ahmed al-Shara pushed forward and they took over the entire Sueida city. But you've got to understand something. Okay, now that they've taken over this territory, you've got to look at this. This is a huge land expanse. These areas have not been taken over by the government as of yet. Just before now earlier this evening, there has been an announcement that there's been yet another ceasefire agreement between the Druze community and the government of Ahmed al-Shara, but it hasn't stuck. Why? For two reasons. One, there are still clashes which are going on in the north of the country, of the Sueida governorate. Those have been ongoing and haven't stopped in spite of the announcement of the ceasefire. A second reason, this is a big reason here, there is a Druze sheikh who's known as Hikmat Hijri. Now, this man is allied with the Israelis, and he has rejected the peace proposal or the ceasefire with the government of Ahmed al-Shara. He says that he does not recognize their legitimacy. He does not want their security forces in the area, and he's been calling on the different factions to fight the Syrian government control. So this is the situation now. Just before we came on, not only were there clashes in the northern part of the area, but they've also been airstrikes coming from the Israelis onto the Syrian government forces in the area here, even as they were withdrawing as a result of the agreement which was made. The Israelis hit them while they were withdrawing on the Damascus Suedat highway. So, brothers and sisters, I think it's important for you to understand something. The Israelis don't want a cessation of hostilities. Now, here's an interesting development that I don't know if you guys have been following, but all of a sudden, Thomas Barak, who is heading the Middle East envoy for Donald Trump's administration, he says that negotiations in Gaza are going very well. Donald Trump has said that there should be some good news from Gaza soon. Now, I expected this, and I'm going to tell you why. Because what they are planning to do, they want to freeze the battlefront in Gaza, transfer those troops and personnel and weaponry over to the Syrian side of the divide. And let's see if we can go back to that original map. And transfer their weaponry to a conflict here in Syria. And then what they'll do, once they try to, Allah knows best if they will succeed, to break the situation here, then they'll do what they did with the Lebanese agreement. They will break the agreement, go back to the hostilities. We've seen this before in southern Lebanon with the group known as Hezbollah. They froze the battlefronts in Gaza. This is going back in the early part of the year. And then they used all of their forces to attack Hezbollah. Once they neutralized Hezbollah largely, then they went back to Gaza. Something about somebody broke a ceasefire, but international observers have all said that Hamas has maintained their end of the bargain, but it was the Israelis who broke the ceasefire. Okay, everybody. So this is the current situation. We're going to take any questions or comments or concerns that you have. But first, I want your help with something. Please, brothers and sisters, do send in your questions, but I want you to take a look at something. One moment. We've got here a project that we are working on, and we need your help. Now, what we're doing here is a project called Voices of Truth. Now, Voices of Truth is a project that I am heading, where we are going out the country of Syria, documenting the war crimes that were committed by the Assad regime, so that people for generations to come can hear directly from the lips of those people who were oppressed by Bashar al-Assad exactly what happened to them, so no one can whitewash his crimes as we go forward, giving a voice to people who never had a chance to tell their story. Here's a brief sample. Take a look. فهم مات فشو كانت الإجراءات لاتخاذ الميتين من السجن؟
هلا بالنسبة حسون ابن حسون حظه هو ميت، حظه حلو انه اثناء كان سيارته وقت توفى وانتقل الى رحمة الله كان سيارة الموتى موجودة بقلب الفرع، يعني طالعوه بنفس الساعة، بس غيره يضل 3 ايام، يعني بموت يوم الاربعاء في فرع المنطقة، بضل معنا بالجماعية او بالمنفردة، لانه انا كنت اوقات يحطونا بالجماعية واوقات يحطونا منفردة، يضل معنا الاربعاء، الخميس، الجمعة، السبت الساعة 12 الظهر يجوا ياخذوا، وكان شهر 6 و7 و8، وبتعرف الحر والشوب والهاي، اوقات التقى 3 ميتين 4 ميتين بالمهجع ممنوع تشيلون، وقت يجوا بدهم يشيلون هاتوا لنا الفطايس، يعني حتى انه الميت ما خالص من لسانهم الا هي، اضطروا يشيلون يعني ايمت من مات الشخص لازم يضل يوم كامل حتى ينقلوه.
This is just one story that we have covered. That's just a piece of his story, and there's more to come. But we want you to visit our crowdfunding page. That's on medina.com/voices of truth. Medina.com/voices of truth. It's there on your screen. Please visit our crowdfunding page and help us out. Whether it's $10, $100, $1,000, whatever you can do, brothers and sisters, we will be grateful for it. So please do visit it and help us out. Let's go to your questions. Let's take a look here what you've got. Okay, we've got Tom Hanks, who says, Assalamu alaikum, brother. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, we've got here, do you think the scenario in southern Syria could be repeated in the northeast with the Kurds? Well, I do believe that the Israeli government are fomenting strife and problems with the SDF, or I should say within SDF territory, because that all points to keeping Damascus weak. That's what they need to do in order to try to safeguard Israel. Now, you've got to understand something, and I hope Ahmed Shara is listening. Don't trust the Americans. They are backing the Israelis. They are backing your, not necessarily downfall, but to totally keep you dependent upon the Americans so that they will not resist. You got to bear something in mind. Those sanctions are only 180-day sanctions. What do you think the situation would be when he goes back, I'm talking about Ahmed Shara, to Washington after 180 days, so that the sanctions can be, the lifting of the sanctions can be renewed? And he's got on his ledger that he's attacked Israel, that he's killed Israelis. Of course, they'll come up with some cockamamie story about how he actually was the aggressor or something along those lines. Then that's going to jeopardize whether those 180-day waivers are renewed. That's a real problem there. So I do believe that the SDF is being backed by the Israelis, and we'll talk more about that in the future. Let's take a look and see what else. Okay, we just moved everybody to a new studio, so we're still getting things ready, and it says, Okay, Han Tanks says, I saw these Jews with a new flag, not the new flag of Syria, but a different one. But I saw the same thing, and that flag was an Israeli flag. They flew the Israeli flag in Suedat. That was today. They flew the Israeli flag. So what you saw was real. You didn't imagine it. Okay. Okay, next we've got Red, who says Abu Musab Suri was supposed to be in Syrian, supposed to have been in Syrian prison, right? Have we heard of him at all these couple of years? We have spent, particularly after the fall of the regime back in December, some efforts, some considerable efforts to try to locate him. To this moment, we haven't been successful in that, but our efforts are ongoing. But it's a difficult situation, to be honest. We had hoped we had some leads, and when I say we, I'm talking about myself personally. And but they haven't borne any fruit as of yet. Next. The UAE has been somewhat blacklisted, meaning no one cares what they have to say. If you're referring to the UAE saying that they condemn the Israelis for their aggressions here in Syria, hello, that ain't even real, brother. Let me give it to you straight. They are backing the Israelis. All that talk about that ain't right is fake. It's false, and it's not for Muslim consumption. They are with the Israelis, have been, and continue to be. So don't fall for that. They are not with the Muslim cause. They are against the Muslim cause. They are with the Israelis. That's real. Okay, next. Do people want the government to fight back against the occupiers? Do you hear those shots that are fired outside? You've had, I mean, literally, as we are speaking now, you have the streets are full of people who want a jihad to be declared against the Israelis. Now, I'm going to say something to you. Now, some people have accused me of being a warmonger. You know, the Syrian people are tired. They just want their rest. They just want to live. They just want an opportunity to rebuild their lives. Well, that sounds wonderful. I like that idea. And we want the Syrian people to have that opportunity. But that opportunity just hasn't presented itself. That's the reality of the situation. Netanyahu and Washington simply will not give the Syrian people an opportunity to regroup and to grow their country, not militarily, not economically, and not socially. Bearing something in mind also that's very important. Donald Trump lifted the sanctions going back about maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. The situation economically on the ground here hasn't changed at all. And I've been saying that. It's not designed for him, for the Syrian people to grow and get strong. It's to keep Ahmed al-Shara as a total dependent on Washington. That's what it's for. And next up. Okay, we've got another question. I heard that there were talks between Syria and Israel to reach an agreement and stop Israel's bombings and incursions in Syria in exchange for a peace agreement. Any chance this could happen in the near future? Well, anything is possible, but I'm going to tell you, don't count on it. As you can see, and as is clear, just before we came on air, the Israelis were still bombing around in the Damascus area. The Israelis don't want peace. That's not what they're after. What they're after, and I believe, is that they're going to occupy this entire southern area of Syria. That acts as a buffer between Syria and Israel, because you've got their Druze militia forces, which are here in Suedat, and this area right here is already occupied by them. There are no Syrian government troops in Daraa, so therefore they could literally just walk right in here, set up a barrier here, and it's taken over. So anything that or at least this is my assessment, anything that you hear about ceasefire talks, peace agreements, and things of this nature, they are fake, they are false, they are phony. And I'm watching. You're probably going to hear some announcement about a ceasefire in Gaza and then a transfer of all that war machinery right here to Syria. Okay, next up. Allah bless you and your family and keep them in the service of the Ummah. Ameen, ameen. What is your take on those who make takfir on Ahmed for his constitution being Sharia and Western laws combined? I'm not going to answer that question. I will tell you why. Issues of takfir should be reserved for scholars, not for journalists. I have my own ideas and such like that, but for me to put forward my ideas in a topic which is as serious as that just wouldn't be fair to either you or to me. That's a question for the ulama to decide and not for me. Now, next. Okay. Next, can you answer your question from the video title? What do you think is going to happen? Jazakallahu khairan. Do I think that war with Israel is imminent? Yes, I do, because there's no alternative. As long as Israel is going to continue to push forward and to take over territory, you can only ignore it for so long. They are 25 kilometers outside of the capital of Damascus. That means that, in other words, they've already taken Jebel al-Sheikh, also known as Mount Hermon. So that's already been taken. They're already 25 kilometers away from the capital. What happens if they decide to move forward? Now, right now, it's just airstrikes. I believe that they're just waiting to freeze the battlefronts in Gaza and transfer over to Syria. That is what I believe is their plan. So I'm going to tell you my assessment of the situation: war is inevitable. Next question: will Turkey help out? We hope so. I hope so. Why? Because Turkey is a threat to Israel. And therefore, they're going to target Turkey and Pakistan. Any Muslim country that has military strength, they're going to target them. So it's best within Turkey's national interest to help the situation here in southern Syria while it's still in southern Syria and not when it's in northern Syria on Turkish borders. So I can't answer. I mean, we're hearing from Ankara that they need to protect the Syrians and they need to protect the people in the region. But to be real with you, we hear a lot of that. That's a lot of good diplomatic talk. Until we start to see Turkish military movements, it's going to be tough. But I think that they should help because they would only be helping themselves. All righty, next up. Okay, another similar question here. We've got just asking, do you think Turkey will help strengthen the air defenses of Syria? Also, how do the Mujahideen avoid bombing the IDF aircraft? Well, I don't think that they're looking to avoid it. If they could, they would. So I think that that needs to be looked at. All right, let's see. We've got blue suspect here. How are the Druze people siding with Israel when they've seen all the crimes committed in Gaza? How can they side with evil? They side with them because they think that their interests lie with the Israelis. So they want Sueda to be an autonomous area. They don't want to be under the control of Ahmed al-Shara's government. They want this to be an autonomous area. And of course, this is part of the territorial integrity of the country, and Ahmed al-Shara is unwilling to simply just give it up just like that, nor is he willing to give up the territories under the control of the SDF. So there's a lot of work to be done. So they're gambling that if they do Israel's bidding, then they'll get what they want, which is an autonomous region. Next up. All righty. Okay. Okay, Ahmed Salah says, do you think that Israel will invade Syria and expand to Fallujah in Iraq? A strategic analysis on Al Jazeera said so, and that it's on the Israeli plan of defense. I have no reason to see that they will expand into Fallujah. Do I think that they will expand here in Syria? Absolutely. In this Quneitra area alone, just in the past couple of weeks, there are 3 new military bases right in the Quneitra area, creating several thousand more refugees from those villages. So it's already happening. Keep in mind one thing. Israel is the only country in the world who has no declared borders. They have not declared their borders, and therefore, because their project, their country, is an expansive one. Now, okay. Where is Jolani now? Never heard any condemnation from him or any condemnation for Israel, even though they are bombing his country. Okay, at the moment, I cannot tell you exactly where Ahmed al-Shara is or Abu Muhammad Jolani, but I'm going to tell you this one. I'm going to say this. I differ with Abu Muhammad Jolani on many different things. Most of them are Islamically oriented things, and that's not hidden. But I can call Abu Muhammad Jolani several different things, but a coward is not one of them. And whether you agree with him or you don't agree with him, he's not the type of guy to turn tail and run. So I'm just telling you my experience with him. I would tell everybody just to sit tight and let's see what's going to happen next. Okay, Syria doesn't possess modern military power. How do you think the Syrian army would respond and fight against a superpower like Israel? Well, you go to war with the military that you want. You go to war with the military that you have. And I believe that Allah will help them. I myself am not a military strategist, and I will not try to be. But I also understand that if 5 people come to rob your house and to kill your wife and your kids, if you're and they all have knives, bats, and chains, and you're standing there with 1 rock in your hand, brother, you're going to fight with whatever you have because those people are not going away. That's the reality. All right. Blue Suspect says, what are the opinions of the Syrians on the street about the whole situation? They are understanding that there's no way around war with Israel. They don't want it. They really want rest. They really want to rebuild their lives. Some 2 million Syrians have come back into the country since the fall of the Assad regime. Housing is scarce. Earnings are meager, and there are a lot of issues and social issues as well throughout the country. But the reality of the situation is that they understand that the Israelis are here. Whether you like the timing or you don't like the timing, they're here. And they understand that, I believe, and Allah knows best. All right. Let's take a look. Okay, Bird Nest Rat Fest says, Israel done all the big toys for Bashar al-Assad, was looking after. I think he's trying to say here that the Israelis bombed all of the the major war assets that Bashar al-Assad had. Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, let's take one last one. Okay, last one. Salam, brother. Do you think this time the Muslims may unite, for example, Hezbollah with HTS and other factions? Do I believe that they will unite? I believe that they will see that they have a common enemy, and that is quite probable. And who knows what could happen in the future. But for right now, you got to keep one thing in mind. Hezbollah backed Bashar al-Assad. Hezbollah was responsible for the deaths of tens of thousands of Syrians. There's a lot of bad blood that's there. Now, I know people sit there and say, hey, well, you got to unite. But you got to understand, what would we be uniting under? And that's something that has to be examined. But that's for the future. So everything is on the table. Everything is open. But do I think that it's going to happen sooner rather than later? What I think is going to happen sooner rather than later is that perhaps they'll see that they have a common enemy. It's the Israelis, and they need to deal with that threat first and then see what they can do to maybe put some of the past behind them secondly. Okay, brothers and sisters, we're going to have to wrap it up. We're going to leave it there. Please do visit our crowdfunding page. That's on medina.com/voices of truth. medina.com/voices of truth. I am heading this project. I need your help. Please do visit it and donate something to us. Jazakum Allahu khaira. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.